because we've just crossed a threshold that is similar in its capacity to alter the world as the invention of writing. I really think that's where we are. We're talking about something that is going to fundamentally alter what humans are with no plan.
All right, so people are finally starting to wake up to what's coming with agentic AI, and it's about time. I just watched a 2.5 hour debate on the Diary of a CEO YouTube channel, and it might be one of the most important conversations about AI I've seen all year. So in this debate, we've got Amjad Masad, CEO of Replit, Bret Weinstein, evolutionary biologist and longtime systems thinker, and Daniel Priestley, award-winning entrepreneur and best-selling author. Now, I know most people aren't going to sit through a 2.5 hour debate, so I went through it all and pulled the most important, most thought-provoking, and most terrifying moments. Let's get into it. So they start off by laying out their general views on AI, where they think it's headed, and how this all might play out. You'll see it in the clips coming up, but Bret Weinstein is kind of the doomer of the group. He's got a more pessimistic, or maybe just more realistic, outlook on where this could all lead. Then there's Amjad, the Replit CEO. He's more of the AI optimist, especially when it comes to how agents will empower startups and solo entrepreneurs. And finally, Daniel Priestley kind of lands in the middle. He's excited about the productivity boost AI could bring, but he's also genuinely concerned about jobs and the potential for massive inequality. So with that context, here's the first big moment. Stephen Bartlett, the host of the Diary of a CEO, asks Amjad what kinds of jobs he thinks AI is going to replace. Take a look.
Maybe this is useful for the audience. I think if your job is as routine as it comes, your job is gone in the next couple of years. So meaning if in those jobs, for example, quality assurance jobs, data entry jobs, you're sitting in front of a computer and you're supposed to click and type things in a certain order. Operator and those technologies are coming on the market really quickly, and those are going to displace a lot of labor.
Accountants,
Accountants,
lawyers.
yes.
I mean, I've just pulled a ligament in my foot, and they did an MRI scan, and I had to wait a couple of days for someone to look at the MRI scan and tell me what it meant.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's gone.
Yeah, I think the healthcare ecosystem is hard to predict because of regulation. And again, there's so many limiting factors on how this technology can permeate the economy because of regulations and people's willingness to take it. But things, unregulated jobs that are purely text in, text out. If your job, you get a message and you produce some kind of artifact that's like probably text or images, that job is at risk.
So text in, text out jobs are at serious risk. These are the low-level white-collar jobs that involve things like customer service, data entry, copywriting, document review, basically tasks that are predictable, easily verifiable, and don't require deep creativity or complex reasoning. And that's probably at least a third of the white-collar workforce right now, especially entry-level roles for people just starting out. Now, here's why that's so scary. Agents are going to replace jobs from the bottom up. They're not coming for your CEO first. They're coming for the easiest tasks first. And unfortunately, those are the exact kinds of jobs most people rely on when they're just trying to get a foot in the door. And here's the even harsher truth. Most of the people working those jobs aren't going to have the skills or the time or the support to just level up into a quote better role. So what happens when AI wipes out millions of these roles and there's nowhere obvious for those people to go? Well, here's what they had to say about that.
Right. So that will create a world. Yes, there's massive access to opportunity, but there are people who will
seize it, and then
seize it.
and
Yes.
then there'll be people who don't. I imagine it almost like a marathon race. And AI has two superpowers. One superpower is to distract people, such as TikTok algorithm.
That's right.
And the other superpower is to make you hyper creative. So you become a hyper consumer or a hyper creator. And in this marathon race, the vast majority of people have got their shoes tied together because AI is distracting them. Some people are running traditional race. Some people have got a bicycle, and some people have got a Formula One vehicle. And it's going to be very confronting when the results go on the scoreboard and you see, oh, wait a second, there's a few people who finished this marathon in about 30 minutes, and there's a lot of us who finished in like 18 hours because we had our shoes tied together. And I can't understand, if we've got equal opportunity, why there's so much disparity between how fast it, and I'm using an analogy, but this idea that, someone, like, a lot of people are going to start earning $1 million a month, and a lot of people are going to say, hey, I can't even get a job for $15 an hour. There's going to be this kind of interesting wedge.
Now, if you think that sounds dramatic, it gets even worse. Because Bret points out that this isn't just a temporary disruption. We're heading into a world where billions of people may simply not have the skills to meaningfully participate at all. And the consequences of that could be catastrophic.
I mean, unfortunately, even if there is some small group of elites that are able to go to Hawaii while something else does the mundane details of their business building, we are rather soon going to be faced with a world that has billions of people who do not have the skills to leverage AI. Some of them will be necessary for a time. You're going to need plumbers, but this is also not a long-term solution, because not only are there not enough of those jobs, but of course we have humanoid robots that, once imbued with AI capacity, will also be able to take, they'll be able to crawl under your house into the crawl space and fix your plumbing. So what typically happens when you have a massive economic contraction that arises from the fact that a huge number of people are out of work is that the elites start looking at those people and thinking, well, we don't really need them anyway. And so the idea that this AI disruption doesn't lead us to some very human catastrophe, I think, is overly optimistic, and that we need to start preparing right now. What are the rights of a person who has had whatever it is that they've invested in completely erased from the list of needs? Is that person responsible for not having anticipated AI coming? And is it their problem that they are now starving and they're being eyed by others as, a useless eater? I don't think so.
How is it different than when the what's it called, the looming machine came and the textile workers, that resulted in the Luddite sort of revolution? How is it different than any time in history when technology automated a lot lot of jobs?
I would say scale and speed. That's how it's different.
And
And
also,
the scale and speed is going to result in an unprecedented catastrophe, because the rate at which people are going to be simultaneously sidelined, not just in one industry, but across every industry.
I feel like Bret Weinstein is one of the first people I've seen actually talk about this without sugarcoating it. He's not throwing out vague, we'll adapt cliches. He's laying out point blank what happens when billions of people get pushed out of the economy by AI. Because if you only listen to the CEOs of these massive AI and tech companies, it's always the same line. Sure, AI will replace jobs, but it will create new ones too. And yeah, it probably will. But who's to say the AIs won't also take those new jobs? I mean, we're not just building a new tool here. We're literally creating artificial intelligence. This is not just another industrial revolution. It's not factories replacing farmers. It's not assembly lines replacing craftsmen. In both of those cases, humans were still the center of the system. We just had better tools. This time, the tools are starting to replace the humans entirely. And if AI can think, reason, create, and eventually even act in the physical world through robotics, then for the first time in history, we're building a system that doesn't necessarily need us. Now, in this next part of the debate, they get into more of the esoteric possible outcomes of the future, where AI doesn't just replace our jobs, but potentially our humanity too. We're talking about a future that starts to look a lot more like the Matrix, or even Ready Player One, where people retreat from the real world because the synthetic one is just so much better. Check this out.
We talked about the birthright crisis, and I think a more generalized problem there is creating virtualized environments via VR, where everyone is living in their own created universe. And it's so enticing, and even simulates work and simulates struggle, such that you don't really need to leave this world. And so every one of us will be solipsistic, similar to the Matrix.
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One, we're all kind of even worse than Ready Player One, at least that's a massively networked environment. I'm talking about AI simulating everything for us, and therefore you're literally in the Matrix,
Maybe this is.
I was about to I had that same thought. I've enjoyed this great simulation.
So yeah, we're clearly heading into some uncharted territory. Whether it's mass job displacement, the loss of meaning, or people opting into synthetic realities, this stuff is real, and it's moving faster than most people realize. But at the same time, and I think this part's important, there is a window of opportunity here, especially if you're someone who's curious, adaptable, or especially entrepreneurial. Because as Replit CEO Amjad Masad points out, we're still early, and there's a huge chance right now to be one of the people building the future instead of just being shaped by it.
Well, first of all, the first thing you need to understand is that this moment of time is the least competitive moment. Like, if you understand how to use these tools, you can start making money tomorrow. Like I see countless examples of people making thousands of dollars with these hustles that I talked about, or building businesses that generates millions of dollars in the first couple of months of existence. So I would say start moving now, start building things. So it's an unprecedented time of wealth creation. Clearly, at some point, as the market gets more efficient, as more and more people understand how to use these tools, there's less potential for creating these massive businesses quickly. And we've seen this, like the dawn of the internet or dawn of the web. It was a lot easier to create Facebook than it is now. Then we had mobile, and for 3, 4, 5 years, it was very easy to create massive businesses, and then it became harder. Being just at the edge of what's possible is going to be very, very important over the next couple of years. And that gets me really excited, because the entrepreneurs who are paying attention are going to be having the most amount of fun, but they're also going to be able to make a lot of money.
So yeah, we're definitely at a strange turning point. Some people will lose everything, while others will build things they never thought possible. But I'm curious, what do you see coming? Are we heading toward collapse, a major reset, or a whole new beginning? I mean, it feels like no matter how you look at it, what's clear is that massive change is coming, and fast. Anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, if you want to stay ahead of where this is all going, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.